was at this point in my life where I started to really struggle. I'd gone so long and without any episodes. I thought that maybe it was just a one-off. And now I was starting to come to terms with the fact that I had full-blown epilepsy. And there was nothing I could do. It was a bit of a bitter pill to swallow because, like I said before, with the fact that it had been so long that I pushed it to the back of my head, now it was right here. It was constantly here. And I found it difficult to deal with. But the one thing that I can say I'm most thankful for is the support system that I had around me. I had my partner, I had my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, I had my partner's mother and father, I had my brother and his wife and their family, and the most important thing that they all did was not one of them made me feel different. And that is the most key and important thing that you could ever ask for from any family member or person that you love. Because you're not different, you won't be treated the same. And it's hard, but they do treat you the same. And yes, it's very easy to nitpick certain things, but you can't have people walking on eggshells all the time. So if you take all the little things that they're saying, just disregard them, but just allow what they're actually trying to mean to get through to you, you'll feel 10 times better. And that's what helped me a lot. I had my girlfriend who had never experienced any epilepsy. I'd warned her previously that I may have it, but she had never seen any symptoms or anything like that, so she went straight into a full-blown seizure with me. And for her, that was frightening. And the way she handled it, it was the most amazing, incredible thing I've ever seen. She didn't run. She could have run. Believe it or not, I gave her the opportunity to. Because I know how hard it is for people to deal with things. And I didn't want to be selfish and say to her, no, you have to stick with me, even though it terrifies you. I looked her dead in the eye and gave her the opportunity, and she looked at me dead in the eye and basically told me to go fuck myself. She told me that she was with me through thick and thin. And that meant more than anything I've been told. So I dealt with that. But by this point, I think my second seizure had triggered something in me. So this was going towards the end of last year. I had 2 more seizures. Again, both tonic-clonic seizures. And a variety and a mixture of focal point seizures in there as well. But I'm just counting 2 seizures, the 2 tonic-clonic seizures. Again, I was blessed with my family, the guys at work. Can't say anything more about people at work, because you think everyone is against you. You think that everyone is trying to pigeonhole you and mollycoddle you and put you in bubble wrap and make sure you never get hurt. But they're not. what they're saying is, are you okay? And if you need anything, we're here. That's... like, people who don't have it don't understand how much that means. The whole... because if it's a case of when people are going, I've done this for you, I've done that for you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, that's different. That's because it feels like you're taking people's lives away. But when people are saying, if you need me, I'm here, but I'm not going to be over your shoulder making sure you don't put a foot wrong, that means so much more. And I don't know if anyone else has had that same experience or not, but for me, that's one of the greatest feelings that I've ever had. So, for the end of the year, I don't want to get too caught up in stories other than my epilepsy. For the end of the year, I moved into my new house. It's the nicest neighbourhood that you could ever wish for. I mean, I've never lived in a place like this before in my life. The neighbours are unreal. They're always coming round, checking up on how things are, what's going on, giving us advice, helping us out, and it's just great. Going towards the start of 2019, so I'd say this is what the first 2 months I had 2 more seizures. That's in the first 2 months. So that's January, February. Again, it's easy to get on top of you. You got family and friends. It's like riding a bike. They're there for you all the time. By which point they increased my medication again. So now I'm on even more sodium valproate. And then they also added a new medication because this was the time when they discovered that I had focal point seizures, because I had to go back to the neurologist. Because I was like, I needed answers. I was like, why is it increasing? Why am I getting more? I went from nothing to 1 to nothing to this span of 8. And she explained the whole blanket situation with the drug, the sodium valproate, so that's why she put me on different medication. I can't quite remember what the name is, but it's basically just for treating focal point seizures. In this span of time, I have started gaining weight again. I need to get back onto my diet. I believe that might be one of the causes for this, because I wouldn't say it was depression. I would just say my life's just been moving so fast that I've not had time to keep up with the diet. I'm not trying to make excuses. I know fully well that I'm the one that's shoving crap into my mouth. So I need to get back on with my diet. And then this leads all the way... Oh, and in that time I had a month off work. Didn't want to, because probably 9 out of 10 people out there, you want to be in work and you want to feel like you're contributing. And that's me. I want to be in work. I don't want anything to change. I mean, of course, they've had to make certain changes to what I do at work, but I just want to be there all the time. Well, not all the time, but when I'm supposed to be there, I want to be there. I don't want to be missing work. Which brings me to my most recent one. Tuesday night, the 23rd of April. I was supposed to be doing a night shift, which I arrived at work, took my medication at work, did 12 hours before I left, took my medication, and got home. I went to bed. The only problem was that my partner had left the car not on the drive but on the path outside, so she could reverse her car out so she could go. So by which point it was 10 o'clock, I think, by the time I woke up. So it's taken me 40 minutes to get home. I went to sleep about 7, Went to sleep about 7 and woke up at 10. Now, my plan wasn't to get up and stay up. My plan was purely get up, pull the car onto the drive and just go back to bed. Wasn't trying to break any laws or anything. I was just wanting to move my car away from the road. At which point, as I got my car to the drive, I had another one whilst I was driving. Now, the good Lord must be watching over me because, even though I'm an atheist, someone must be watching over me because I was able to put my handbrake on. Put my handbrake on and knock it out of gear. I was also fortunate enough to have neighbours that were cutting the grass at the time who saw me having one. Because my partner wasn't there at the time, so neighbours run over, helped me, got me out of the car, managed to... Luckily enough, again, I told you I've got the best neighbours in the world. My neighbour happened to be, I think, the assistant to a neurologist, who dealt with seizures. So if you want anyone being a neighbour, I think I've looked out. I didn't even know this at the time until she was helping me. Called for me an ambulance and I was rushed to LGI again. Again, more blood work taken, heart rate taken, everything's taken. Which leads me to today.